was reborn on the day my sister Tilda Wright and I had to pick our husbands. That was when I realized I could hear people's thoughts. I heard Tilda say, "This time, I'm gonna make sure I grab the best husband first." Then just like that, she rushed over and took the sweet guy I had married in my last life, while I ended up with the abusive man who used to beat her every day. I laughed to myself. Did she really think the guy I married before was some perfect gentleman? I was reborn on the very day Tilda Wright and I had to choose husbands. Across the dinner table sat two men, both about the same age. One was Mike Pearson, the older brother who was cold and distant. The other was Phil Pearson, the younger brother, but born out of wedlock. He seemed gentle and easygoing. "This time, I'm gonna make sure I grab the best husband first." A girl's voice echoed in my head. It was Tilda's voice. I glanced at her, but she hadn't actually spoken. Her eyes were locked on Phil. "I'm definitely gonna steal you away." Her voice rang in my head again. That was when it hit me. I hadn't just been reborn. I could hear people's thoughts too. And judging by what she said, Tilda had also been reborn. Otherwise, there was no way she'd be thinking like that. Sure enough, a second later, she walked straight over to Phil and sat beside him, all shy smiles. "Hi, I'm Tilda. I really like you," she said sweetly. My father spoke up beside me. "Sky, since Tilda has chosen Phil, you'll marry Mike." The moment he said that, pride flashed in Tilda's eyes. Inside, she thought, "This time, you can take the beating for me." In my past life, Tilda had married Mike. He was a strong businessman and was always buried in work. I also heard he was cold when it came to matters in bed. Tilda had tried many times to seduce him, but every time she ended up bruised and thrown out of his room. Eventually, because she never had children, Mike's mother, Samantha Pearson, declared that she must be sick and kicked her out of the Pearsons' house. As for me, I married Phil. He didn't have much influence in the Pearsons, but he gave me food, clothes, and comfort. He took me shopping, ate with me, and went on dates with me, spoiling me completely. Everyone in the Pearsons knew how close we were. Later, Mike suddenly died from poisoning and Phil inherited the family business. My status in the Pearsons skyrocketed overnight. Tilda was jealous. One day while I was out shopping, she rammed her car into mine, dragging me with her into death. "Sure, Dad, I like Mike a lot anyway," I said with a smile, walking over to sit beside Mike. I had to admit, his presence was overwhelming. The moment I sat down, it felt as if a wave of icy air had surrounded me, choking off my words. No wonder Tilda had been beaten so badly in her last life. I tried to hear his thoughts, but there was nothing. He didn't think a single word. But when Phil smiled at Tilda, I caught his thoughts. Such a pretty little thing. A chill ran through my entire body. Without thinking, I grabbed Mike's hand. Even though he had a cold personality, his hand was surprisingly warm. He glanced down at me because of my sudden move. I quickly let go, and he stayed quiet. This man looked terrifying, but honestly, I'd rather stick with him than fall into Phil's poisonous trap. This time, I was determined to change my fate. I was going to make money, stand on my own, and never rely on anyone. Tilda and I had our weddings on the same day. It had been that way in our last life too. Back then, Mike hadn't shown up for the ceremony, but Phil came early. Everyone had said he was the more thoughtful husband, and this time, it was exactly the same. Phil showed up in a crisp white tux, rushing in to scoop Tilda into his arms. As they passed me, Tilda gave me a smug look. "Why didn't Mike come to pick you up?" I just smiled. "Don't worry about me. Focus on your own life." Her smile dropped, her face darkening. "Keep laughing. I'll see if you're still smiling once he starts hitting you." That was what she was thinking as she left with Phil, but it was way too soon for her to say that. There was no guarantee who would be the one laughing